Well, let's see. I guess Saved is getting some water or
I'm
something.
good.
Oh,
Sorry.
there you are, dude. They're
I'm so
banning,
sorry.
man. Let's go.
Oh, okay, we're getting right on into this. So already the band's coming out for LTF. Qualifier, Caitlyn, WC Gold. You got Shandy LeBlanc, Twitch. LTF first pick the Gragas with the response of Lulu.
Yeah, the Gragas in the jungle has been a hugely impactful pick for both of these teams, and it's because it allows them to select team fights a lot better. WC Gold picking away the Lulu there because they've seen the power on it on both of their supports already. Having this character on your team is a huge boon, so good pickup for WC Gold.
And off of the Gragas pick into the jungle, WC Gold locking the Elise. This is a champion that's slowly been coming back, but LTF respond with the Karma.
Yeah, and that's something that we saw in their last composition. These guys are already setting up a team comp that looks very similar to what they played already and what was successful for them. The thing that might end up being different is with that Twitch banned away. Once again, they've got to pick something else on the AD carry role. Looks like they're going for that Ashe, though.
Ashe, a very strong pick if put into the correct hands, but WC Gold opting to put Prototype once again on that Tristana. I'm guessing they went over what exactly each of the team members did wrong, or just as a whole what the team, I guess, failed to do. So they're going to pull out the Tristana here in this game to respond to that Ashe in that bot lane. But the bans from the second phase coming out, WC Gold banning the Vladimir right now, but Orianna as well is being taken off the board.
Yeah, Vladimir, one of the champions that Slitter loves to play in the mid lane. We saw him playing it in some of our earlier matchups in the series here. Cassiopeia banned away from Slitter as well, so a lot of comfort picks coming out of the mid lane, and we have to see how LTF is going to respond to that. Actually, no, Cassiopeia not locked in there, just going to be the Renekton ban away from the top laner there. Have we seen Alarim's Renekton?
I think we saw it once. From what I remember, I believe we saw it once, and it was okay, but then he was put right back on the Nautilus.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I remember seeing Dokla's Renekton, and that was ridiculous. but Alarim seems like more of a top lane tank-oriented player there, so WC Gold, I like the composition that's coming through. They've got something that's got reliable early ganks on that Elise, and they might be in a situation where they're trying to set up their top laner. You see that this is one of the games where the top lane bans have not been completely thrown down against Chris, and because of that, it looks like they might be going for a top lane AD Fizz, something that can lay down huge lane pressure and be so annoying to deal with because of the percent life damage. So it's something that Alarim's got to really be careful against. So if he's not prepared in how he builds this this top lane tank, he might be in some trouble.
This is the point where you got to pull out the pocket picks. If you love to play Fizz top, you've been playing a lot in solo queue, and it fits into your comp, this is when you pull it out. And this is exactly what WC Gold is doing here in this pick phase. Galio as well, locked in for LTF. I do want to see what they respond, or what they finish off their composition with. They're looking for a mid laner. Who's really left on the board?
They've still got, let's see, who do we have here in the middle lane? Orianna banned away. Wow,
We have
there's
Ahri.
so many. Yeah, Ahri's still up, but I don't know if Slitter likes to play Ahri. He's going to pick up the Kassadin, anticipating that Alex is going to go for something a little bit more AD oriented in that mid lane. The other thing, the other reason why they're going for this Kassadin pick here is it's not 100% that Fizz is going top lane. Fizz still has the full capability to go AP mid lane and look for that burst damage like he always has. So Alex is no stranger to that mid lane assassin playstyle as well. When the meta was all about mid lane Kazakhs and getting the resets, he was all over that, and he's reflecting that playstyle, picking up the talent. So I like this this game so far.
I'm excited. A lot of assassination, a lot of a single target damage coming out of WC Gold here, out of their draft. LTF though, they have a very nice, I want to say pick style comp, and just like burst. You just want to burst that character down, and that's how you do it. But going into the analyticals of these comps just a little bit more, we can still have a little bit of time on our hands. What does LTF need to do here in this game in order to close out the series?
So LTF has great target selection on their Ashe. If they're able to just land an Enchanted Crystal Arrow on any of these lesser mobility champions like Lulu actually is probably going to be the primary target for arrows. then they can burst them out very easily. Like you were saying, having the Gragas, having the Kassadin on your team comp means that one person can get easily obliterated, and it also means that magic resist is a high priority for WC Gold. So these guys really need to make sure that they get null magic mantles, Negatron cloaks, whatever they can to negate this burst damage. And if they can do that, they might be able to survive. But the primary goal of LTF right now is isolate and destroy.
But to respond, we just went over LTFs?
Yeah, I just went over LTF.
Okay, cool. So to respond to LTF's aggression, we have WC Gold's comp, and they've drafted a very nice comp themselves. So tell me, what do they need to do in order to close out this W?
It's an interesting comp, right? Because it's a team comp that lacks a true frontline tank. LTF has a composition where they've got two meaty meatheads in the front line that can really soak up the damage of the enemy squad and set up the back line to get clean auto attacks down. WC Gold needs to make sure that they capitalize on the lack of enemy vision control and get into the enemy jungle and really start to take over through high mobility and pick potential on these duo assassins they have between Fizz and Talon. If they're able to do that, then they can come up with quite a bit of gold here, but it also is difficult to do that with the amount of peel that's available on LTF. You know, you've got the Gragas ultimate that can knock these guys back, you've got the Galio ultimate that gives flat damage reduction to a target when he's coming in, so if these guys don't get ahead in the early stages of the game, they're going to run into a brick wall in terms of the tanks of LTF here. So it's going to be a lot on WC Gold's jungler. They need to make sure that Elise gets into these lanes and gets both top lane and mid lane ahead. It is crucial for that to happen. Otherwise, they're going to have a very difficult game. I can't stress to you how difficult this game will be if these guys don't get ahead in this early stage of the game, because if they can't nuke someone down instantly without having some setup potential, WC Gold's gonna just have a hard time here. So once again, early stage of the game, just a quick TLDR for you guys. Need to make sure that Elise gets into top lane and mid, sets up Fizz and Talon so they have high burst damage, and then from then they can get picks off through enemy vision denial.
And finally, they get on into the real champion select itself, so we still have a little bit of time on our hands. But I do want to go over lane by lane. We haven't really done that a whole lot in this series, but in the top lane, I believe we're going to be seeing the Fizz versus the Galio. So how does that square up?
Fizz against Galio, a lot of the damage that comes out of Fizz is magic damage, so Galio has a unique opportunity where he can get a Ninja Tabby and Spectre's Cowl and be even more tanky against it because of the passive shield generation that he has. So I think that Galio should be fine in terms of the lane matchup as long as he doesn't get set behind at like level 3 to 6 is when I'd say that Elise has the highest priority or highest chance of setting up a kill with this Fizz. If they can get that kill, then it becomes a lot easier for the Fizz in the lane. If it doesn't happen, though, it's a real struggle for him to get down the damage.
Yeah, but moving on right from that top lane, we got the jungle matchup here in this match. We got the Gragas versus the Elise. It's a very old style matchup. We're very used to seeing these two junglers, and we're going to be seeing that again here in this game.
Both of these guys are able to get into the lanes very easily. They've got the frontal CC to set up their team to make the kills happen, so they can clear the jungle very easily as well. The one stark difference between these two guys is if Elise doesn't get kills and really set up the team, she's in a bind. So Gragas is really going to be looking for the priority counter ganks here, and Nintendo just needs to make sure that he maintains vision control and he shows up in the right place at the right time to deny the kills for Elise's team. So if he can get there and just use his explosive cask, use his frontal CC on the belly slam to deny these kills, he's doing his job 100%. Anything beyond that point is just icing on the cake. Elise has to play very aggressive, maybe even looking for dives to make sure that her team gets ahead in this matchup, because like I said before, if they're not ahead, they're really struggling.
Moving right on over from the jungle, we got the mid lane matchup of the game, Talon versus Kassadin. I'm very excited for this mid lane matchup.
Yeah, it's actually one of the best matchups we could probably hope for to be watching here. We've seen the prowess of Alex Each on his mid lane assassin play in the game number 1 when he went just hard on Slitter's Syndra. So if he's able to get a lead on this Talon against Kassadin, I have to imagine that we're going to be seeing quite a few kills on this Kassadin in the mid lane. The burst damage that can come out of Talon is very surprising, and at level 2, we've seen in the past how aggressive these Talon players get, just throwing down the Ignite, setting up the bleed, and watching the enemy team burn away. So if he can get an early kill like that, maybe without even any jungler assistance, he can really dominate this lane from then on. But if Elise does come in pre-6 against Slitter's Kassadin, he can really set up Alex Keach for success and extend that influence down to the bottom side of the map to try to get Tristana ahead as well.
Yeah, and now that we do have the spectator delay going, we still have 2 minutes before we actually get on into the game itself. But looking at the summoners in the mid lane, Talon has taken the Flash and the Ignite, while Kassadin has taken the Flash and the Teleport. So this really does tell you a lot about these two mid lanes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I actually agree with the teleport on Kassadin here. Yes, he's going to be in a situation where he needs to get into these lanes and really respond to global plays along with his Galio, but I think his highest threat is staring like right across from him in his own lane. I think an exhaust here would have been great against the Talon to just make sure that he doesn't get gimped here in the pre-6 stage of the game, and then from then he could just roam on into the lanes and look for side lane plays. So teleport's going to give him a little bit of stability, but it offers nothing in terms of protecting him against just getting nuked against this high burst damage mid lane.
But now moving our attention towards the bot lane, the final lane that we have to analyze before we actually finally get on into the loading screen. We got the Tristana and the Lulu over on WC Gold, and they want to square off against the Ashe and the Karma.
Yeah, very poke-oriented lane here. Both of these teams have a lot of wave control as well. Between the Qs going down on the wave with Ashe's volley, they can push the wave out pretty substantially, but Tristana's passive explosive shot damage does so much work in just keeping the wave pushed up towards the enemy that it's actually pretty difficult to contest. Not only that, but whoever has the wave pressure here in this lane matchup can really set up for some really aggressive plays here. Level 6 is a huge power spike for these guys, and they have decent setup potential for their junglers past that level 6 as well. So whoever is able to get control of the minion wave here and get to that level 6 first has an enormous advantage in this lane.
It's going to be a very interesting game to watch. But ladies and gentlemen, can LTF take the momentum from game number 2 and translate that into game number 3, or can WC Gold come back from a loss and turn that into a win? We're going to get right on into the loading screen, but ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere. We have game number 3 of LTF versus WC Gold coming up in just a couple of seconds. And we are finally in game, and there is a pause. So once again, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the final game of tonight. We got LTF over on the blue side versus WC Gold over on the red. Once again, my name is Daniel the Saved One Mena as your play-by-play caster, and I got Sterling Stretch back. I'm on that color casting commentary. Off of that though, Stretch, who do you think won the draft?
That's actually a hard one to say, man. I actually don't know who won this draft, because both of these teams have such enormous potential to completely go crazy in this matchup that it's actually hard to tell. Fizz up in the top lane becomes an absolute menace if you let the snowball start. Same thing with Talon in the mid lane. But the enemy team, LTF, not necessarily the enemy team, but LTF, knowing their late game is really, really reliable. Their frontline tanks get enormous. Their Ashe does a huge amount of damage in the later stages of the game too. So both of these teams, I have to say, probably equivalent in terms of their champ select value.
Yeah, it's all about skill. It's whatever team can come out on top of the other. These are really supposed to be the dream comps, I guess. In game number 3, you're playing you're playing the one champion that you really have been practicing. I'm guessing that all of these guys are coming with their A game, because if you win this game, you're moving on into the final 4. If you lose this game, you've come so far and put so much work in, but then you're just out.
Yeah, these guys really need to make sure that they are doing everything to the best of their ability. That means Prototype cannot afford to lose his life jumping into the tanks looking for resets. He's got to make sure that he stays alive after these team fights so he can push down the turrets like Tristana's meant to do. So, like I said before, if they're able to pull this guy in, I have to believe that he's going to pop off this game. Something in my bones is telling me that Prototype is going to be crucial in this matchup. Either he's going to be the guy who wins the game for them, or he's going to be the guy who throws it all away. I don't know what it is, but my clairvoyant caster sense is telling me that.
Yeah. It's really in the we're in the meta where ADC is slowly getting cleaned up. We saw it towards the earlier stages of this season where ADC wasn't in the absolute best spot, but once Bork got taken care of, it finally got the buff that it really didn't need. That's when ADC really started to shine, and that's when they're so crucial to team fights. They're not just an ult bot anymore. They're more of a, all right, you're here to do damage, and this is what we're going to make you do.
Yeah, these guys are actually threats now, whereas before it was something you'd just coddle for 35 minutes and hope that they actually threw down auto attacks. But with the buffs to Bork, like you were saying, these guys can more adequately feel strong earlier in the game, and that's good for them because it means that their team could rely on them more as well. So these guys really relying on these AD carries now.
Yep. And finally, in the mid lane, Alex each may be looking for the level 2 power spike that we usually see that Talons tend to put off. He's zoning Kassadin there from the mid lane wave, and you already see that in the CS difference.
Yep, already pushing him under turret, doubling the farm of NAOQ Slitter there, Alex Each, making sure that the pressure is known immediately. And look at how much respect Slitter's got to give here. Up, jungle invade.
Oh, the flash cocoon connects as well as the repel towards this guy, and a 10 dude. Maybe he can get out of that one alive, but towards the bot lane, Prototype just jumping on into the fight. Gets the bomb off from his E, but maybe the re-engage is going to come out here. Answer is no for the time being, but a lot of damage going down back and forth in this bot lane.
Yeah, Free Papa Chow has been very aggressive in this matchup as well, and I think that needs to happen here because if they want Prototype to really scale up, they need some of these early kills, and they can really capitalize on the amount of CC that they can offer onto the Ashe earlier in the game. So going aggressive like that is fantastic for them, but they need to make sure that Free Papa does not take too much in a trade back.
And once again in the bot lane, Prototype going very aggressive. A lot of damage coming down, and the heal is forced out of Cathedral. We saw him last game absolutely pop off. So this is the game where Prototype starts to go aggressive and try and make any of the plays that he can. Alex Each is right over that wall. He's maybe trying to look for a play, but Gragas is in that bush if needed. Alex Each knows that he's there as well. Elise is making her way down from her own jungle, maybe going to run into the Batman himself. So Gragas makes his way over that wall, and off of that, it's a little bit of wasted time coming out of Alex Each and Elise here, but nothing too humongous.
Yeah, but it is a little bit wasted time, but it does let that bottom lane know, hey, you are our target. We are looking to come down there and get this Tristan in ahead and turn it into a situation where you're going to get exploded very quickly. So Alex Each making his presence known there, spending a little bit of his lead to throw down the pressure in the bottom lane. And that's kind of how laning works, you know? You get a CS lead if you perform more adequately in your lane, and then you can spend that putting pressure elsewhere.
The bot lane Prototype again jumping into the fight, but maybe that's not exactly what he was looking for. Expensive taken very low in the first blood coming out from Prototype. The aggression pays off.
Yeah, great play there from the bottom lane. The third jump in from Prototype finally, and that's a kill. And I want to highlight this because someone in the chat said it earlier on. 80 carry with exhaust, question mark? Prototype running the exhaust on his team comp here to actually just be the person to choose who's giving him the most threat. So I kind of like that, though, because with the amount of heal enhancing items that are available to supports, there's no reason for the support not to be the one to hold heal, right? Because it probably gets enhanced by all the healing buffs of like Righteous Glory and all that stuff.
This also empowers Prototype's ability to 1v1.
Yep.
Because you usually don't see that from an AD nowadays where they'll jump in and all of a sudden they have exhaust. And it's like, wait, where did that come from? And then you just get absolutely annihilated. So maybe that's exactly what he's looking for. And towards the top lane, Ignite going down from Chris, but Alex Each is there to follow up, preventing the Galio to do whatever he really needs to do. Alex Each picking up one, but the body slam connects onto Alex Each himself. So Nintendo dude picks up a 1-for-1 there in that top lane.
Yeah, trade went a little bit wonky there. The kill took longer than intended because the Justice Punch from Alarin made contact with Alex Each before he was able to actually lay down the damage he wanted to. So he got like an auto attack in or a Q in or something like that, and then just pulled turret aggro immediately while being stunned up. So I don't know if that was a heads-up play by Alarin or just a little bit of misplay by Alex.
Elise repelling to safety since she did miss, or since Nintendo did almost kind of whiff The body slam, NAOQ is there, but the TP onto the spider itself is coming through. The cocoon connects onto Nintendude.
What?
And Nintendude absolutely annihilates the spider there. Chris picking up himself up once, so a 1-for-1 there around the top side of the map.
Where did that damage come from? Wait, what? Hold on, let me look at it on the side screen here. Oh, okay, it's because Slitter turned it around. Was there on the other side there. That was huge burst damage there. The ultimate from Galio making contact at the same time to really enhance that damage, popping the spider like you were saying before, and just picking up a kill for him.
Yeah, it sits Gragas in a very nice spot here in this game. It's all on the jungler's shoulders. Can Nintendude X get around into these different lanes to try and expand his lead? Or can the prototype god that is now on this Tristana, he's kind of tamed his aggression. Can he carry this game?
I think that he's definitely got the potential to go crazy here. He's got the early kill, which means an XP lead for the bottom lane. Like I was saying before, getting level 6 first in that bottom matchup is very volatile because jumping in on Trist sets up the knock-up on Lulu. So making sure that you hit level 6 first is absolutely enormous. You see them there, zoning them off the wave. They might be in a situation where they can actually go for a dive here, regardless of the fact that the expensive account has that exhaust ready to go. There's so much burst and so low life available on Cathedral that they just might be able to make it happen anyway.
7 minutes on into the game, a lot of picks coming out from both of these teams. They're trying to go for whatever they can. And if they can get a kill off, it means so much. In the first game, we saw a very passive style game from both of these teams. In game number 3, though, this is when you kind of start getting comfortable with your team. The comms are pretty nice. The shot caller, I guess, is telling you exactly what to do, where to go. But now in the top lane, Chris going to be aggressing here onto the Galio. The cocoon connects, and the AoE damage is not enough from Alorum. He's slowly being taken down. No flash available to his name, so the spider bite chomps down and finds a rock at the end of the day.
Good execute there on Saskew, once again, picking up that kill on the top laner. And once again, we're in a situation where Chris should have some decent pressure here, but the amount of resilience that Galio has inherently in his kit is pretty difficult for a Fizz to deal with. So it's not going to be until he's got a little bit more AD under his belt that the damage really starts to come through. So probably a finished Trinity Force is really when he starts to pop off here, but putting pressure into the top lane on this Fizz is not a bad idea, and these guys continue to go for it.
Alex Leach in the mid lane showing his aggression against NAOQ, but in the bot lane, Prototype jumping on into the fight. The exhaust goes down onto him. The Buster Shot as well connects onto the Ashe. Ashe is taken to very low HP, and Prototype still has his exhaust available to him. Alex Leach there in the mid lane, maybe getting aggressed on the flash, the body slam, and the cast connects. He is forced to pop the ultimate, but it doesn't even matter. NAOQ finally picking up a kill for himself.
Yeah, great play from Nintendude, just showing up in the right place at the right time. He knows that Alex is looking to really pressure Slitter as much as possible and push him back under the turret. He gets punished, though. No jungler in the area for WCG. These guys are playing their hearts out as much as possible. And yeah, Alex really looking for that kill onto Slitter, but with the mobility that's available as well as the Gragas coverage, it's just not going to happen.
Ooh, in the bot lane, though. Again, Prototype jumping on into the fight, outputting a lot of damage. The arrow connects onto Prototype. Free Papa Chow tried to flash into the way of it to maybe try and eat it, but Nintendude X finds himself there in the bot lane, finds himself another kill to add on to that, but Elise is there to maybe try and clean up, but she's not really that strong at 10 minutes in. She only has Moby Boots and an Amplifying Tome.
Yeah, and it's at this stage of the game that WCG needs to dial back their aggression a little bit. Nintendude has gotten to a point where he can just walk between lanes, responding to the amount of pressure that's being thrown down by WCG and getting rewarded for it. And they cannot have that. If they want their pressure to mean anything, they need to make sure that they do not die to these ganks anytime that they come through.
NAOQ trying to show his aggression. Throughout the whole entire laning phase, he's been very, very passive. But now he finally has a kill underneath his belt, just ults over his own Raptor wall to find a spider taking his own camp. Pushes her off of that one for the time being. Even Talon was there just in case Cassidy tried to do anything too sneaky. But just a reset from the jungler in the mid lane.
Yeah, mid laner, once again, Alex Each getting to a point, though, where the damage coming out of this Kassadin is starting to scale up. It becomes very difficult to handle him over time. Chris going aggressive despite his low health bar here, trying to set up Saskew for a potential kill, but looks like Alarum smells out that something is wrong and backs up to his turret.
Alarum has a lot of damage here on this Galio. We saw it just in the different types of trades. Explosive cast connects, but knocks Elise in the wrong direction. These casks have been on point for the early stages of this game, and NAOQ finding a lot of damage here onto Alex, but does not have the jungle pressure, which does mean he can't aggress.
Yeah, Hexdrinker finished up on Alex, protects him for quite a substantial amount of burst from Slitter, so being able to stay in this lane last hit quite well and set up the next item he's going for. I think he's going for a Ghost Blade for the roaming, yeah, it's not very typical that you see a Talon rush a Maw of Malmortius, especially when he's going, even and or ahead in terms of farm here, so really probably just looking for that Ghost Blade pickup next.
Once again, Prototype jumps on into the fight, just absolutely taking down Kathir. So very, very low HP. He's sitting very low on that Ashe. But since Prototype does not have his W available to him, you see that the two members, Nintendude and NAOQ, are aggressing here onto Free Papa Chow. He is done, but Alex Siege is now in that fight. He's looking to try and find a lot of damage, but gets exhausted.
Jump.
Prototype finds one, and he has the reset, like you just said, of the jump. But he just decides just to push the wave, try and get First Blood Talon.
Yeah, and actually that's probably the smarter play there. Jumping into that one's a little bit risky considering that the shields are available still on an expensive account. I got a little excited. I'm going to admit it. I would have jumped in that one, but
jumping to 3 people.
I would have jumped on that one if it was me. But once again, this is why I'm not these guys. So.
Right.
So dialing it back there. Glad to see that Prototype is reeling it back in just a little bit, and a good turn on him as well. He had both the Gragas and the Kassadin in his face, and he still turns to set up the rest of his team. So seeing that flip and pressure is very good here. Once again, might be the carry of this game. Caster prediction. Not sure if it's going to happen, but we'll see.
It's all of the little things that make pros who they are. It's all of the little decisions. Do I jump into 3 people and tower dive, or do I just push the wave and get First Blood Tower? All of those questions need to be asked if you want to try and be a good player. So Prototype just pushed the wave and got First Blood Tower. Now he's rotating with the rest of his team.
Yep, and the pressure being forced in on the bottom side means that they might be able to open the door up for a Dragon play here. Elise in the area already working on this thing, and Alex Each going to roam over to assist with that take. And that Drake means that top lane Chris might have a little bit of an easier time here in that matchup, getting him a little bit more health in that lane and allowing him to take some more of these trades. He's been trading quite heavily, but for the time being, Alarum's been ahead in that matchup because, once again, the 2-item 1-2 punch of Galio against Fizz, Ninja Tabby, Spectre Cal. It's so hard to deal with that thing. So we'll see if the regen can assist him in that lane.
Galio coming up huge in the past, where he is just ulted into the fight just to create such a disruption. Hopefully he can do that going on to later stages of this mid game. But Fizz as well is a force that is not to be reckoned with himself. He has a lot of damage. He's got his Triforce available to him. So he's going to be packing a punch with all of those W procs, and hopefully we'll see that in this laning phase.
Yep, W procs deal so much damage here, but the thing that is really mitigating that is that shield, man.
Yeah.
You have to go for such a long trade against Galio to make it worth that. It's hard to make it happen. So I think that Chris needs to really rely on an all-in at some point to make it occur, but we'll see how it goes.
Jump into the mid lane, Prototype flashing over the wall, finds one, but he gets aggressed on. He's falling very low, but the Galio ultimate, like we were saying, just takes out a couple of members. The rest of this red team may be trying to look for something. But so far, just a 3-for-1 trade going over onto the favor of LTF.
And this is why vision is so crucial for this team comp of WCG. That flash over the wall, 2 thumbs up for me, would have been perfectly fine had he not known that there was an Ashe right there waiting to enchant his crystal arrow him in the face. So Prototype getting a little bit ballsy here, but he's got the lead, so he can do so.
The cocoon connects, and Alex Each, he aggresses all that really matters is that Alorum finds one Chris, maybe diving a little bit too far. 2 kills going on over to the top laner of LTF.
Yeah. Once again, Alarim responding with the defense for his squad here, making sure that they stay up and alive. And yeah, these guys might be. This might be how they end up winning this game. Is the super aggressive plays coming out of WCG just gets punished by the more defensive plays of LTF. So we'll see.
Elise using the blast on to get over the wall, but the Gragas is there he doesn't have the cask available to him. Body slam goes wide and a lot of damage going down onto the spider there in the top lane. And Alorum finds 4 kills, or the 3rd kill of, I guess, the fight. The very, very long, prolonged fight. But he picks up 3 kills nonetheless. He's now 4-2-2 here on this Galio. This guy's a beast.
Yeah, and this is actually a huge problem for WCG right now because he's already taking so little damage from Chris. He can go ahead and itemize into armor and start to really mitigate the damage of Prototype even more outside of the Ninja Tabbies. So it's actually going to be really difficult for these guys to cut through this Galio for quite a while now. They have to get a Last Whisper finished up and finish up a second crit item to really be effective.
Whew, Prototype jumping on into the fight, but Chris comes in slowly. The fish or the rabbit, whatever you want to call it, connects onto NAOQ. But Chris is finding himself in a very sticky situation. Alorum finds one with his taunt, but the AoE coming out of him is absolutely insane. He gets himself alive out of that one as well as LTF. So, just both lanes, or both teams resetting, rather. But WC Gold is looking for aggression into the mid lane. They find the tier 1 tower. The only tower that they really need now is that tier 1 top lane. Then they have all 3 tier 1s.
That last team fight, Alarum sitting on 3.2k gold. So honestly, had he been able to buy before he had to TP into that fight, he could have stood there for days, man. There was going to be no way that he was going to go down to this squad, especially with the primary goal being on the AD champions here. Bottom lane, maybe kill.
Alex aggressing there into the bot lane, and NAOQ gets out of that one alive. Very, very close.
And we saw that exact same play again in the Echo Syndra matchup where he camped that exact same brush. So that might be something that Slitter's got to keep his eyes open for. He cannot walk into that lane brush unattended without vision, because Alex could very well be in here waiting for him to pick up a free kill. So Alex taking Slitter off the map yet again. Let's see if they can do something with the pressure.
LTF Cathedral being caught over the wall there. There's nothing that his team can do to save him. Chris coming from the top lane, and the Elise just zooming there from the bot lane. Absolutely takes out Cathedral.
Yeah, Prototype rotating up into the top lane against Free Papa Chow, and this is once again because Chris is just having such a hard time against this Galio. Decent engage here, though. I don't know if they could. You are not going to kill this Galio.
Wow.
You can spin your. I'm telling you, dude, you're not going to kill him.
There's no way.
You can ulti all you want, but. Unfortunately, the fact of the matter is this man has gotten 4 kills and is itemizing into armor, so there's no way in hell.
Prototype trying to do whatever he can, but the catch onto Free Papa Chow is there. Ults away from Tristana, but it doesn't even matter. And a 10-dude X finding one there in the top lane.
Yeah, once again, the aggressive plays of WCG get punished by the passive and defensive plays of LTF. So, good arrow coming through to land onto Free Papa Chow, but they're looking for another kill. Good flash over the wall.
Alex is there in the mid lane. The fish connects onto Cathedral. He just gets one shot by Chris, but the shield, it doesn't even matter. The spider bite comes down, and the 10-dude X picking up one very swiftly. Body slam, cask into the air. Goodbye, Elise.
Yep, great response there once again for LTF, and these guys are going back and forth. Game 1 and 2, slow, meticulous. Game number 3, it's looking like a bloodbath here, as 21 kills have already been thrown down in the span of the game. So these guys doing everything that they can to defend their chances to get into the NACS or push their chances forward through aggression. So these guys going crazy.
Dude, no one wants to go back to solo queue and be like, I guess I'll just play some solo queue.
Yeah.
But you do want to make something out of your League of Legends career. These guys have spent countless hours, countless seasons playing this game, and they're trying to find the reward out of this, I guess, tournament. If you win it, you have the potential to face the bottom 2 teams of the Challenger Series. But if you lose, again, you're going right back to solo queue.
Yeah, I don't know about countless seasons because I mean, there's been 7 seasons. I can definitely count those, but there've been a lot of seasons that these guys have played. You are correct. Ooh, Alex going aggressive in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's been a lot of seasons, but in the bottom lane, Alex each aggressing onto the Kassadin. Kassadin just slowly getting out of that one alive. But it's all about the rotational style play from each of these teams. Real question is, can WC Gold rotate between these different lanes and have the coordination to do so?
Yeah, WC Gold really needs to make sure that they clean up and tighten up their play a little bit more here. Their vision control is really lacking, and LTF is doing a fantastic job of defending their jungle. WC Gold has been going very aggressive, and they've been punished every single time due to their lack of aggressive vision control to support that aggressive play. So these guys really need to dial it back and figure out what they can do to get these catches. It might be a situation where you just camp the brush. It looks like Saskio's sitting on a control ward here, maybe looking to see if anyone comes in, but looks like it's not going to happen.
I was going to add that I really do like what WC Gold is doing with their rotational play, because what they really could have done was they started to rotate towards the top side, dragging 3 people up there, but then they could have went right from the top lane directly towards that bottom side, which would have thrown the enemy off. And then they're trying to get the tower. A little bit of analyticals for you guys, but off of that, WC Gold trying to do whatever they can. They're trying to find whatever picks available to them. Alorum is in that bot lane. He tried to aggress onto Alex Each, but it doesn't do a lot of damage, but he's hella tanky.
Yeah, and we've seen this before, right? Game number 1, Alorum had to be the guy to stop the Alex H split push as well. Having that tankiness about him allows him to just sustain through so much of this damage. Wait, how big is this magic shield?
It's pretty big. That's all I can give you for an answer.
Is that not 1,000 health? Is that like 800 health in magic damage shield?
Let me see.
Yeah, look at him real quick.
It doesn't show us.
It doesn't show us a number, but look at the health bar, right? Is that not like 800 health? Wait. That's so much life, dude. Are you kidding me, man? How are you supposed to cut through that? How are you supposed to kill this man?
There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
What are you
Anybody
supposed
that
to
tries
do?
to fight, you basically need to get all 5 of your members onto this one guy. But even off of that, he still has so many like escape potentials, I want to say. Because he has his taunt. And that, I guess, denies you the ability to use abilities. But then you even have your E, but then in some cases that really hasn't really worked out for Galio's. But he also has his flash.
Okay, so it's 576 magic damage. Thank you, chat, for directing me where to go to look for this thing. I thought it was still on the passive, but yeah, thank you for that one. That is so much. That is so much negation. You cannot trade on this champion. It is ridiculous to try to trade against Galio, man. That's a hard life right there. So here's the goal then for WCG. Last Whisper finished up for Prototype. That's fantastic. But what they need now is a second crit item to enhance this IE. Once they have that, then they can start thinking about taking down Alorum. Until then, they've got an impenetrable brick wall that they have to stare at in these team fights. So it's probably going to be a lot of waiting and farming for a Prototype, trying to get him scaled up. And once they've got that done, they can look for some aggression. But yeah, it's going to be a long road for these guys.
24 minutes into the game, 11-10 is the score of this game. Currently a 3K lead, but in the bot lane, Chris trying to aggress onto NAOQ. The Sonya's comes out from him as well as it wasn't the flash, it was just the ultimate used from NAOQ. Arrow comes in, it goes wide for the time being. But Elise, Tristana, and Lulu have made their way towards this bottom side. They want to try and catch somebody. Nintendo X is being aggressed on right now. But Prototype has learned his lesson from jumping into teams.
Yeah, Prototype not going to just jump in on that one. Would have gotten bounced into the enemy squad here, but 4 members of WCG down here aggressing on this turret, but they got the flank maybe.
Yep. The TP is coming in from Galio there in the bot lane, and as a response, the rest of WC Gold back off of that one for the time being, but they continue to lay down their aggression. It's only a Galio really right now. So they start to go down towards this bot side. Galio is still over off onto the left side if he wants to try and find a pick. And 10 X trying to do whatever he can, and the barrel goes wide. But now it's Prototype's time to shine. He's over in the back line. He's trying to do whatever damage he can. But like we were saying, if you focus the Galio, you're not doing any damage to him. Now Prototype finds himself in the front line. And this could mean that he falls in a couple of seconds. And there it is. He's done. And the Cassin is trying to pop off. The snare coming out, and the Elise falls. Double kill for the Kassadin right now, and Chris is right there, right above that team. But off of 2 picks, this team just disengages.
Yeah, so what happened there was, like you were saying during the actual play-by-play, WCG says, all right, we can't do anything without going through Galio. Let's focus him and see if we can't take him down as a team. He goes down to half-life, stares at them, and says, you know what, that's not going to happen. Look at how tanky he is.
Yeah, he's so incredibly tanky, but the arrow goes wide again in the bot lane. Alex each falling very, very low. Chris is able to, I guess, push 3 people off of the lane itself. Just the presence of Fizz is absolutely strong here in this game.
Yep, Fizz very, very strong at the moment. Like you were saying, these auto attacks do rip through these squishier members of LTF, so they do need to make sure that they are huddled behind Papa Galio, because this guy is their protection. He is the only thing stopping the enemy team from absolutely obliterating their backline. Gragas included, actually. We saw some shots go through from Prototype onto Gragas in that little bit of a jungle trade, and they seemed like they're chunking pretty well, but maybe after they got that team fight gold, he was a little bit tankier. Finishing up that Dead Man's Plate is quite a bit, a big jump in tankiness for him. So once again, these guys need to wait until they scale up a little bit more. Prototype is not in a position to kill either of these frontline tanks of LTF.
Dude X was in that bush, maybe looking for a cheesy style burst play. He's very fed on this Gragas, and we've seen him one-shot people over and over again. The only thing that he really does need to do is land his ultimates. He's been landing them onto certain people, but he hasn't been like using his ultimate to the maximum potential, I want to say.
Okay. So you're talking about the Gragas ultimate?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's been landing them, but yeah, like you said in the last team fight, the Gragas ultimate didn't really isolate anybody and push them into the team. It like slowed them down a bit and put them a little bit displaced, so they weren't standing where they wanted to be. But what they really need to do is get either Alex, Each, Saskio, or Prototype just bounced into the middle of the squad where they can pick them off almost instantly. If they get a team fight like that, it's going to be even more devastating for WCG.
This is when the game starts to slowly die down. We saw a lot of aggressiveness come into the early game. But now we're starting to see each of these teams just, I guess, chill a little bit. They want to get as much gold as possible. They want to get as much experience as possible, because for the next couple of team fights, it's really going to be the game decider.
Yeah, and especially because we had that team fight victory. I said it before, but once you have these hard engage comps get a successful team fight, they're just going to keep coming through, man. Nintendo's going to be looking for more and more aggressive explosive casks, and he knows he's got the backup for Alarum if things go awry. Also, the shields out of Karma as well, an expensive account, really able to support this front line very well. So LTF has every single tool to close out this game if they want to play more aggressively.
Cocoon connects there onto NAOQ in the bot lane, but he gets slowly bursted down. The Elise trying to get herself out of that one. And the shutdown going over onto the Fizz. This guy's a beast here in this game. He takes down Kassadin, and he does it very swiftly. Yeah,
good two-man play coming out of Chris and Saskio on the bottom side of the map there. LTF not in any position to respond with a turret or Baron trade as a response, so really these guys are getting an advantage just getting a pick-off like that, and that's exactly what their team comp needs to be doing. They cannot fight LTF in a frontal assault, so they need to split up the opposition and take them down in smaller, bite-sized chunks.
This game is really on the back of Alorum, Dude X, and NAOQ. If these guys can carry this game and use the Ash's utility to their advantage, then they can win this game. But if they continue to get picked off like we just saw, and this red team continues to get towers, it's not really looking good for them.
Yeah, one of the strengths, like you were saying, is that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. There's not a lot of tools that the enemy team... I mean, actually, 2 of them have great tools for dodging that thing out. Actually, a lot of... You know what? Alex and... pretty much Alex and Lulu are the only 2 people on this comp that can't really react and dodge one of those without potentially burning a Summoner spell, so... the Enchanted Crystal Arrow on those 2 are really the targets. Free Papa Chow, the ideal target because it can burst them so easily, but the other 2, or Alex, the higher value one, if you can get a pick off on him, you've pretty much got the team fight under your belt, because Chris, he's got some damage, but he doesn't have enough to really carry a team fight alone. So, what's this?
The Baron is being started from WC Gold. Again, the cast goes wide, but the hero's entrance comes down and only hits Chris. This is not the target that you really do want. The taunt, again, goes only onto Chris there, but he's out of that one to safety. He's very slippery fish, so we can get out of those sticky situations.
To be honest with you, if I'm WCG, I just run straight back towards the Baron again because they've burned the explosive cast, they've burned the hero's entrance. The only thing they have to really catch someone else is the enchanted crystal arrow, and as long as you position your team properly, you can probably avoid it having too much impact. But instead, what they're going to do is split up the comp and try to make a global play.
Elise just repels and just does not get out of that one alive for the time being, but the rest of her team is coming there. So the only real objective from LTF was to burn the GA coming out of Elise there, but the rest of this team is looking to do whatever they can to maybe try and get a pick. They almost found it onto the Elise, but they could not finish her off.
Yeah, couldn't quite get there. GA coming through there to make sure that Saskia stays alive. And the TP forced out of Chris almost immediately there. They wanted to make a global map pressure play where Chris goes down to the bottom side of the map and someone else is forced to respond so they can bait out that positioning and then have Chris TP in for the Baron fight. But with the mispositioning of this Elias, unfortunately, they don't get to make that happen, and they're forced to wait some more time here, wait for this Tristana to scale up and hopefully have it so Prototype can start carrying these fights a little bit better.
It's a lot of words, a lot of word coverage coming out from LTF around this Baron. All WC Gold needs to do is just clear every single one of them, and then they can maybe start the Baron once again. We saw that already here, where they just randomly started the Baron here at 32 minutes in the game, and then that's when WC Gold, or that's when LTF reacted. Oops, my bad. But all WC Gold needs to do is try and do a reactive style play. They're currently 4K ahead off of the enemy. So they really do want to try and find something. The dragon is up in 19 seconds. It's going to be that mountain dragon. 2 mountain dragons on a team. That means a huge amount.
Yeah, it's all about that objective control. We've seen these guys come through and try to take this Baron away already. So if we can get a second, or if they can get a second Mountain Drake on WCG, they have huge potential to burn that thing down fairly quickly. Same thing goes for LTF, though. They might be catching these guys with their pants down as Saskia was over towards the dragon. Nope. Safe play. They're just going to disengage on that one and run back towards their base. No real actual committal there.
I guess a very ambitious style Baron call. If they continue to go with it, just because the rest of WC Gold were around that Baron just in case, they send the Elise towards the bot side to start that Mountain Dragon. But the rest of WC Gold are looking to get whatever vision control that they can around this Baron. It's at that point when you catch the enemy on the rotation, maybe either a pick or you just find too many people bot lane where you can really just, I guess, aggress either in the mid lane, the top lane, or towards the Baron.
Very true here, and usually on the one thing I want to say here is usually on an Ashe composition you'd see a lot more arrows flying around, but with the threat of the backline dive from Alex H, she has to hold on to it to protect herself, so we'll see how it ends up being used here. Turn.
Prototype jumps in for the time being. The arrow finally connects onto him, and he gets absolutely exploded. Chris tries to get himself into the fight, but gets annihilated right now, and that's a double kill for the Cassidy. And Chris, I ate my words. I thought Fizz was gonna die,
yeah, me too.
But he didn't. He slips and slides out of that fight. But off of that, it's a 3-kill lead, or a 3-for-0 trade going over onto the favor of LTF.
I don't know if WCG thought they could burn the Baron down fast enough or what was going on there. They had some decent positioning at the start of the fight until Prototype did not stay behind the coverage of his front line and gets just an arrow to the face there, and which allows Nintendo to just chain so much CC and damage on top of him there. So once again, Prototype needs to be aware of his positioning, getting a little bit too hasty, trying to jump in against, I think it was Slitter who was off to the side there. Just needs to reel it back in, man. Like, you've got these guys who can protect you. You just need to sit there and wait for decent opportunities to auto-attack, and if you do that, you're probably going to win the game. Don't jump early. Wait and walk forward.
That's it. Prototype has found himself in very weird situations when he's jumped into the fight or jumped a little bit too early. So he needs to control himself. He needs to time all of his jumps. Just a little bit of, I guess, a sidestep even can make the difference of a fight. If you go right instead of left and you eat an arrow, that's humongous. So he needs to just save his jump in order to try and escape.
Yeah, you cannot burn that thing early. That's like the key to Tristana.
Right.
If you play a lot of Tristana, it's a repositioning tool. Make sure that you use it to reposition during the team fight, and you will be rewarded greatly. That's just all there is to it, man. Like trying to pop someone off to the side is not your job. You have 2 assassins on your team comp who can do that for you. Lay down auto attacks. I say this because I've experienced this myself over and over and over again, where I'm like, I'm gonna get him, dude. It's me. I'm the hero of the story. I'm jumping in right now, and then I just get exploded, and I'm like, maybe never mind. I'm just a background side character. I'm just gonna sit in the back and maybe auto attack some.
Cocoon connects onto the Galio, but Jesus. This guy, he's got a Sunfire Cape, Spirit Visage, Frozen Fist, and he has a GA. But over off onto the left side, Chris is trying to engage the fight. Alex Each is there, and he's trying to assassinate anybody that he can. Alorum, he finds himself 1 with the help of Cathedral. Alorum finds 2, but a 2 for 0 trade at the end of the day. Chris aggresses over that while the Cocoon goes wide, and LTF are coming up big in that last fight.
Yeah, WCG has played this entire game feeling like they're very rushed, very hasty.
Right.
They could have just sat there and waited a little bit longer, try to wear down this Baron buff as much as possible. You know that you still need a second crit item on this Tristana to make, or a third crit item to make the damage.
End the game.
Yeah, I know they're going for it, dude. And with Alorum out front, I don't blame these guys. Look at his health bar. He's got 3 different colors going there.
This is it. Alex, he dives into the fight only to get annihilated by Alorum. NAOQ just peeling off the back line. Fizz, the GA is popped, and he is slowly going to fall in a couple of seconds. If he can slip and slide and maybe distract the team, answer's going to be no. And the rest of LTF are just backing off of that one. They see that the Elise is up. She can maybe do a little bit too much, I guess, in their heads.
They're actually turning back around. They're like, wait, hold on. We killed their 2 biggest threats here. Let me just walk up here. I'm Galio. I have a billion different... Wait, hold on. What's this?
Oh, Prototype. He needs to fight. He jumps into the fight right now, but he's slowly going to be taken down, but he finds 1. The GA is popped, and the rest of LTF are maybe trying to look for the second tower, but they just back off of that one alive. Whew.
Yeah, wait, what happened there? Because suddenly this Galio started taking so much damage. I don't know if it was the combination of both Saskew and Prototype working together, but his health bar started melting very quickly. Well, he's been on the Last Whisper for so long. He's had that forever, and he had the he had the Blade of the Ruined King for the fight at the mid lane turret as well. But still, something different happened there, and I don't know what it is. But like the health bar on this Galio just got absolutely obliterated.
Not too sure. Maybe Prototype. Could he have Fervor? Because is Fervor doing the trick or no?
No, dude, it's probably not the Fervor. I think that what happened is Saskew actually was able to contribute some damage there onto the Galio along with Prototype, and that's what happened. But if that's the case, they need to set up that scenario again.
Right.
And I don't even know about this Magic Resist pickup, man. Like, yeah, there's a threat on the Cassidy, but Lulu can honestly just polymorph him. Like, be aggressive on the polymorph positioning and just try to get to him, and then like drive him back that way. And then really, you need another crit or high AD item to really shred through this Galio. Otherwise, he lives way too long in the fight, and your backline pressure can't do anything. So, I don't know how I feel about this Hex Drinker, but we'll see how it works out.
A very close game overall, to say the least. It's a 1K lead going over onto the favor of LTF. Even though they did take the inhibitor, they took the one of the Nexus towers that they really do need. The rest of WC Gold are trying to aggress in the mid lane. It's kind of weird because they are aggressing in a lane where the inhibitor is already down. Maybe that's the jitters of the OQ finally coming in, but maybe a little bit of an aggressive style play, and they find 1. They find the spider, and finally. Lorium being taken kind of low, but Ash finding 1, Ash finding 2, and finally the Cassidy picking up a double kill for himself. Alex Each is the only one that is really left, and Chris just leaves the game. He's done.
Woo!
Oh, these guys are all leaving.
Oh, no, dude. Well, they know the game is over, dude. They're not wasting any time getting out of here. They're like, you know what, GG. this game is
Wow.
over, man.
That's
Alarum,
it.
this frontline monstrosity, this gargantuan Godzilla of a man, this slack-jawed caveman up in the front does not care about damage. He does not care about your fancy mobility. He does not care about anything. He will absorb all of the team's damage and keep on trucking. So, Alarum, I gotta say, Alarum the carry of this game, dude. He picked up those 4 kills
did.
in that mid lane
I
play,
regret-
and then like just was unstoppable for the rest of the match.
Right. Damn. that was a very interesting game. It was a very interesting series, to say the least. I did not expect LTF to actually come out with a W. I did think that WC Gold would have taken that whole entire series, but off of that one, LTF move on into the final 4. There's only going to be 4 teams left tomorrow, and I'm excited to see it. I'm very excited to see the teams compete in the final 4, because off of tomorrow's victories and losses, it's finally going to be the final 2. Off of the final 2 next week, which is next Sunday. Sorry, we're gonna have the finals streamed on this channel. We're gonna watch it. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great. But Stretch, do you have any final words to say off of the series?
Not too much, man. I do have to say that props to LTF, man. They lost their main jungler, had to bring in a substitute, and they still are able to walk away with a victory here. It made the proper adjustments during the match, and with some heads-up play, they're able to pull through. So yeah, real respect here for LTF, and I look forward to seeing them in the Final 4.
Yeah. So just a little bit to touch on exactly who we are as people. My name is Daniel Mena. I want to one day make it to the LCS. I want to make it to Riot, and I want to cast play-by-play for them. That's the ultimate goal. So I'm taking any opportunity that I can really get my hands on, and I'm casting the crap out of it. And this was one of the opportunities that popped up. So I got my hands on it, and I called up my boy Stretch. Stretch said, let's do it up. And now we're here. That's it. Do you have any final words to say?
Hey, no, I do not. But for anyone who wants to watch these VODs, they will be available